Okay, let's bring it all together now and build a web application. We have MongoDB installed, and we have our application layer over here, and that's going to be written in Python. And we have PyMongo installed, and PyMongo is going to talk to MongoDB via BSON. And the last part is we want to be able to display a web page via HTTP, and to do that, we're going to write a program that uses the Bottle framework. So I'll show you what a small Hello World program looks like to do that. So I'm going to open up this small program in Emacs. We'll go through it line by line so we can see what it does. So the first thing is it imports Bottle, and then it imports PyMongo. And then it creates a route for /, which means the default route of the web server. So when you go to a web server without any URL after the host name, this is what you get. This is a little decorator telling Python that the next function is going to be executed when the user hits that route, and we call that index, but there's nothing special about that name, and you could in fact call it something else if you like. The first step here is to use the Mongo client class to connect to localhost at 27017. That's the default port that MongoDB listens on. And then again we connect to the test database, db equals connection.test, and then to the names collection, db.names. Then we find a single document using the find1 command that's going to put that document into the item variable. And then it's going to return basically hello whatever is in the names key of that document. And this is a Python convention that the %s will be substituted by what's after this %sign. In this case, item name. Item is a dictionary, and we're pulling out the value for the name key. This is the end of that function, which is going to run when you hit the / route on the server. And the only thing left to do is that we have to tell Bottle to run. And to do that, we call bottle.run with host equal localhost and the port equals 8082, which is a high numbered port that we can get to without being root. So let's run it. Okay, it says it's listening on localhost. And now let's go to a web browser and hit that URL. And we can see it says hello Dwight. And if you recall, Dwight was in the database in the names collection. And if we make a change, it's reflected in the web application that we just built. We're going to run the Mongo shell, and we're going to pull the document out of the names collection. We're going to do that by assigning a JavaScript variable j to the result of db.names.find1. We're going to look at j, and we see that j is a document with an _ID assigned by the database, and then a name of Dwight. We can modify that inside JavaScript. I'm going to change the name to Andrew. And now I'm going to update the document by calling db.names.save, giving the value of this JavaScript variable, j. Okay, the database tells us that it matched one document and that it modified one document. Let's just confirm now that everything is as we expect it to be. And we can see that there is one document inside the names collection and that has a name of Andrew. And now if we go back to our web browser right here and run it again, it changes to Andrew. So you can see now we have an end-to-end application that is written in Python, that uses Bottle, and that uses PyMongo, connects to the database, and then can answer an HTTP request and produce a web page.